So here we're just going to talk about the basic diaphragmatic breath. I think there's been a lot of confusion and misinformation in the PT postnatal world about how to do belly breaths or how to do diaphragmatic breathing. And we've all kind of come to the realization that you don't want to coach sending all the air to just your belly. I think that was mostly used as a cue to get women to engage their diaphragm more. I think for some, it kind of took them to the extreme, and then all of a sudden they're just like sending all this air to their belly. And if you have diastasis or you have, significant ab separation, even if it's not diastasis, you can actually make it worse by, if you think about it, like blowing up that balloon and like sending all this air to your belly, you're like increasing that pressure there and you already have separation. So it's actually doing a little bit of disservice. So we've kind of started to retrain the language we're using as we coach women through how to breathe, to more of getting away from saying like belly breathing and more just talking about diaphragmatic breaths in general. So that's the language that we're going to use as well. So when you think of a breath, you want to think about your whole core unit kind of filling with air. I always like to put hands on your torso, both rib cage and belly, because you should feel it all moving. Now, whether you want to breathe in through your nose or through your mouth, I say that you try both. I'm not going to be picky with that because let's get real. You're not going to walk around like always breathing through your mouth at every single breath. You take 20,000 breaths a day. If you're a nose breather, you should learn how to do it through your nose. If you're a mouth breather, you should learn how to do it through your mouth. I just want you to use the diaphragm and take a full breath and get away from just chest breathing, which is very common for both men and women. So I like to wrap my thumb around the back because you should actually feel some expansion back there as well when you take a full breath. Sitting in the right position, proud chest with good posture is always going to help you breathe easier, because if you just think about it, when you're slouched over, you're compressing here, so you actually have like less room. So it's much easier to do seated. You could also try to learn how to breathe lying on your back. I do that with a lot of my clients. I find that if they're really struggling to get it, of how to stop going only through their chest and to start really using their full core, it typically clicks faster and easier for them when they're laying on their back. When you inhale, you want to think about sending air down to your pelvic floor. You also want to think about expanding ribs out to the side, and you also want to think about sending air into your back. So it should be, belly, pelvic floor, out, and back. So you just feel like a full expansion. Like not just a balloon going in your belly, but a full expansion of everything, rib cage and your belly, and even making sure you're pushing air down into your pelvic floor. So you really want to think about that as well when you're focusing on learning how to do your diaphragmatic breaths at first, is like on the inhale, think about like I'm sending air down to my pelvic floor. C-section moms, this is especially important for you. So sidebar, sorry I talk a lot. Okay, so inhale. Remember, as you inhale, your pelvic floor relaxes, which should actually help you think about sending air down there. So you can go through your nose or your mouth. I like to go through my nose. As you exhale, engage the pelvic floor. Now, we're not talking about a full engagement as if you're about to deadlift 150 pounds off the floor. We're talking about a slight pelvic floor contraction. You don't want to have the severe big pelvic floor contraction when you're bending over to pick up a toy off the floor, right? It should directly reflect the load, the workload that you're about to do. So with a diaphragmatic breath, very little workload, but there should be that unit that's working together. And the pelvic floor should slightly engage as you exhale. So inhale, release, send air back, out, and down. Exhale, slight engage. Inhale and release. Exhale, slight engage. Inhale and release. Exhale, slight engage. So I'll just demo that for a few breaths for you. And that's your basic diaphragmatic breath.